Carmina could see the flashing lights before she got up to their property. She could tell they were close, and was curious as to what the neighbors had been doing that the police were there. Julius, her dad, was always suspicious of what their neighbors were up to, so it came as no surprise to Carmina that they were in trouble. But as she got closer, she realized the emergency vehicles were not, in fact, in the neighbor's long driveway. They were at hers. She slowed her walk, and then stopped. Her first thought was that someone was hurt. Maybe her mother had slipped on the stairs or cut herself. She always overreacted when she got hurt and thought she needed stitches or a cast or something. But the flashing lights were not an ambulance. They were police cars. Not just regular police cars. They were unmarked, black cars. Feds. Carmina hid behind one of the big trees and watched, acid burning in her stomach and chest. Black-suited men went in and out of the house. 2 of them came out with her father between them, his hands cuffed behind his back. They put him in one of the waiting black cars. Then, a few minutes later, a couple more came out with her mother. Esther Knight's long blonde hair blew back slightly in the breeze. Even at a distance, Carmina couldn't help but admire and envy her mother's beauty. Her own hair was quite dark. Her skin was darker, and her facial features rounder and not so finely shaped. Esther always looked impeccably groomed, her makeup perfect, her hair shining, even when she was painting first thing in the morning, trying to catch the early morning light. Esther was upset. She was trying to pull away from the 2 agents holding on to her. Esther hated people in her personal space. She didn't like her routine to be broken. Carmina swallowed, wishing she could just brush off the feeling of dread. Sometimes she awoke early in the morning with an inexplicable feeling of impending doom, and she would tell herself how silly she was being. She had no reason to be worried. Carmina had a good life, and nothing horrible was going to happen to her. But this time, watching her parents being escorted out of their home into the waiting vehicles, she couldn't think of what to tell herself. Maybe it was all a mistake. Maybe it was just some kind of clerical error, or mistaken identity. Her father had often warned her how easy it was for someone to steal your identity, to do things in your name and mess up your credit and your reputation. That had to be what had happened. It was either a mistake or someone had stolen her parents' identities. They would take Julius and Esther Knight down to the police station or whatever building these agents worked out of, and they would sit down and talk, and they would figure out that this was all just a mistake. It was all a big mistake. A wave of dizziness passed over Carmina, and she turned away from the scene for a moment, leaning her back against the tree and closing her eyes. She took a deep breath. Calm. She had to stay calm. Think. What would her father tell her to do? They had handcuffed him and put him in a car, caged him. He couldn't explain it to her this time, couldn't tell her what to do. She had to think about all he had taught her and figure it out herself. She looked back around the tree toward the house. With both of her parents in separate cars, the feds were apparently wasting no time moving the process along. With at least 6 agents still in the house, the 2 cars pulled away from the house and headed back down the long, winding driveway, toward Carmina. She stayed hidden behind the tree the best she could and watched them go past her. She knew she should not peek out to watch them drive by, but she had to see. She had to know everything she could about what was happening to her family. The black car with Esther in it drove by first. The red and blue lights were flashing. There was 1 agent driving and another in the passenger seat. Esther's head was bowed. Carmina wasn't close enough to see tears, but she was sure they were there, running down Esther's beautiful face. They wouldn't smudge her waterproof makeup. That would stay perfect, like always. Esther didn't look out the window, didn't see her daughter hiding behind the tree, wondering what was going on and what she should do.